VS Series color detection tool. Load in and connect to the color detection tool simulator. In this exercise, we'll use these different colored fuses and we'll detect the proper colored fuse using the color detection tool. First, let's add a tool that will be used for position adjustment. So from the positioning section of the task, add the ShapeTrax 3A tool, and we'll put the pattern region on the fuse to locate it. So just draw the box around the target here, which is the fuse. I'm using image number 1 right now in the film strip to set this, but it doesn't really matter which image you're using. We're going to use this one, but it will create a new model image and it will locate this target. It automatically converts it to grayscale. As you can see here, we'll leave everything else default in this tool here, but you can refer to the ShapeTrax 3A tool tutorial for more details. If you wanted this tool to fail, if the part's not present, we can put a lower limit of 1 to the count. But you can see here, doesn't matter which color, the grayscale conversion will locate this part pretty well because it's looking for the outline of this shape here. So I'll play through these images and you'll see that it will locate the target regardless of the color, as you can see here. Okay, so now let's add the color detection tool to make sure we're running the proper target. In this example, we'll use the blue target as our good part, and we'll fail it if it's not the correct one, but it just depends on the application. So in the inspection section of the task, let's add the color detection tool. It's available in presence absence category, but also from the function list. But we'll add it from the presence absence category and the color detection tool. If you want to click the little help icon, you can get more details on this tool. It will launch into the HTML manual and you can get more details. But basically what the color detection tool will do, it's available in color cameras, of course, also with multi-spectrum processing mode as well, but it'll give you the average, min, max, and deviation of red intensity, green intensity, and blue intensity with color cameras, or you can also use it in hue, saturation, brightness mode, which we'll show you. So we'll show an example of using this color tool, but basically it will detect the color that's present. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add the color detection tool. And again, I'm using image number 1 in the film strip to set this, but we'll draw a region in an area of interest here. So in this example, I'm going to draw it towards the top area here of the fuse because this is where we'll get a nice detection of color here. So you can rotate as needed, but we're going to detect the color in this upper portion here. So we're going to set the region about like that. So once you have your region set, just click OK. So you can see right now, as a default, the tool is set for RGB color space. So what it'll do is it'll calculate the average red, green, and blue intensity in the region. It'll calculate the deviation of red, green, blue intensity. And then, of course, the min and max green, red, green, blue intensity. All right, so you get all that information from the region. So if I just play through some of these images, you can see that the information over here on the right in the tool results updates according to the detected color. So we can set judgments on that. So if you go to the judgment tab, go back over here, you can see we can set judgments on the average red, green, blue. If you click this display hide, you can also activate and put tolerances on the deviation or the min and max intensity. For this example, I'm going to put it in hue, saturation, brightness mode. So before I set any tolerances, but you can also, like I said, you can put a tolerances using the RGB information if you'd like. So for this example, I'm going to go back to the detection settings here. Let's change it to HSB, which is hue, saturation, and brightness mode. So hue, if you hue refers to the hue, the actual color. So like the color it is on the color wheel. Saturation is basically how rich the color is, how saturated it is, and then brightness is just like it's is the brightness. So if you look at the data now down here, you can see we have the average um, hue, saturation, brightness, intensity. We have the min and max of each value and the deviation. So same thing. Now, one note as for hue, there is no calculation for max and min hue intensity because it's the color wheel, so it kind of does a circle, so it kind of wraps around. So there's no such thing as a max and minimum hue, but we can use the average hue to set a tolerance for. So you can see in this example here on image number 1, if we assume the blue fuse is our good target, we can put a tolerance or a judgment based on this average hue of this blue target. So you can see it's about 154 or so as far as the average hue intensity. And if we play through these parts, if you look at the other targets, you can see the average hue is quite different depending on which one is present. All right, but the blue one is around the 155, 154. So if we go to the judgment tab, we can go ahead and put a tolerance or judgment limit on the upper limit and lower limit for the average hue. So for the upper limit, I'm going to use, let's call it, I'm going to use 156 for the upper and maybe 152 for the lower. And again, those will be adjusted as needed depending on the application. You could also put judgments on the average saturation and average brightness if need be. If you go to display hide, you can also put tolerances on the deviation. All right, so we're going to use the average, of course the min and max as well. So we're going to use the average hue. So again, if I start playing through these targets, you can see the first 3 here are blue fuses, so everything's correct. But then you can see image number 4 here fails because the average hue drops below our set upper and lower limit. And then here's the yellow one. This one also fails. And the red one. So you can see the only ones that pass are the blue ones. So we can pass and fail and make sure we have the proper fuse present or whatever the target is. But in this example, it's the fuse. So the color detection tool is very handy to not only detect and tell you the presence of the color that's there in either RGB or HSB terms, but you can also pass and fail it for presence absence, making sure the correct target's there, whatever the application requires.